Hey everyone! Welcome back. I am back today with the finale of Chernobyl. You guys, I'm really excited and also scared and also just can't wait. So if you're joining me early today, you already know what it means. It means you are one of my awesome patrons. Thank you so much. And as always, I'm sending up those big old hugs right through that screen. And if not, still thank you for joining me today. I'm glad you're here. I do hope you'll consider supporting me that way. The link to my Patreon is going to be in the description down below. All right. So, as you guys know, last episode of Chernobyl was very hard for me to get through. I have been told now that the episode is over, that was like the worst, not the worst episode, but the, kind of the height of the heartbreak, we'll say. Not that it's been like, it's not like it's been a real, the tone has kind of stayed consistent throughout, but some of the more graphic depictions of very uncomfortable things took place last episode, such as, we found out what happened to the baby that the firefighter's wife was carrying, which it took me by surprise because I didn't expect it to be, I knew something was going to be wrong, like she was way too close to him and everything, but I didn't expect it to, the whole, like, the baby absorbing the radiation thing was unexpected, and just very, very sad, and knowing that, like, that's a real person, that's not just a fictional character who has to live with that knowledge, that's very, very sad. I seriously, like, my heart goes out to her because I don't know if she's still alive or not. I think someone had mentioned that they're going to get into that a little bit more in the end credits for this one, so I will be sticking around. I always stick around for most of the end credits, or at least stay to see if there's an after credits, but I will be sticking around to see kind of like the where are they now, I guess, but kind of not quite, because we know, sadly, it's going to be, it's going to be hard to see how they deal with, we know that our main guy, we saw him in the beginning, and we know what kind of happens to him, but we're going to kind of see the events leading up to that. But the other individuals, I don't really know what has happened to them specifically, so we'll kind of see that in the after credits. The dog thing, you guys know, you already know, I'm okay. I've made peace with it. I'm trying. But that was really tough for me. So, and it was just a very tragic scene in general. And some people have pointed out that the soldier character, was very interesting and intense, and, kind of just a really fascinating character to watch and flesh out, and kind of seeing the way he acted in his mannerisms, but the way he really felt about things, like, wanting to protect the kid and wanting to protect him from having to, like, kill the puppies and everything, and kind of the respect he had for the lives of the animals despite what they were doing. But that was hard. That was a very, very, those were some tough scenes to get through. But, where we kind of left off with our main story is there's going to be a trial now, and they want information from our two main guys. And there was a scene where, he kind of has like the not even like an angel and a devil on his shoulder with the guy and the female scientist. But I mean, really, neither one of them was like blatantly right or wrong, because you can't blame, I think his name's Boris, for saying, like, look, make a deal to get the rest of the reactors fixed, but stay silent, because, your life, your family's life, your friends, like the people who will be in danger if you come forward, it's not worth it. And you can't blame him for feeling that way. But on the other hand, I mean, our female scientist had a great point too, that, like, what about the people like the firefighter's wife, you know, all those lives that were impacted, and the truth will never come out if he doesn't step forward. So we know now, like I was thinking about it, I'm like, oh yeah, I guess he does come out with the info because we saw him in that first scene making the tape. I don't know. I'm guessing he does that instead of going to trial. He makes the tape. But I'm really not sure of like the events leading up to that. So what do you say we jump in and see how we're wrapping things up in this series? I can't wait, but not in like a yay happy way, but okay, I'm ready to have the info now, and they've done a really good job of putting all these events and stories and characters together. And I want to see how it's going to be resolved. So let's go. Last episode of Chernobyl. Let's do this. All right, you guys, let's talk. Let's talk about the series. Let's talk about the episode. Let's talk about the characters. The series was phenomenal. You can tell. So that's the first time I ever watched the kind of like insider episode thing, because I had not watched on the other episodes because I was kind of concerned they might give away spoilers or like previews for the next episode. Decided to watch it here because I'm like, why not? I'm done with the series. As far as I know, I don't think there's any more than this. I mean, I think they pretty much wrapped it up. I think it's just one season. But you can tell they had a lot of respect for the details of the events, for the people involved. I like that they did express at the end that there were many scientists who tirelessly worked alongside Valery. And, you know, for the purpose of the story, they chose to write those individuals into one character, because it would be tough over a 5-episode miniseries to introduce. I think they said there were 12 scientists, or I don't know if they said how many, but many scientists, each one bringing in, you know, different info every episode, and but apparently they suffered a lot for speaking out as well. And I'm glad that they chose at the end to, you know, to come out and say, like, and show footage and say, you know, these people did an awful lot, obviously for the purposes of a cohesive story that people could follow. They wrote all of them into one character, which I really liked. I really liked her, and I was worried about her, but now that I know it was actually several different people, I don't know what happened to each individual person. It does sound like quite a few of them faced some pretty harsh consequences, which is very, very unfortunate. But I'm glad that they did choose to honor them. I think they did an excellent job of taking, like I said, of respecting the details. As far as I can see, I mean, I haven't done a lot of research on the actual events outside of the show because I didn't want to, you know, get spoiled on anything. But it does seem like they were very faithful to, like, even the actors there, like, seem very involved in, like, what was really happening during that time. I like that they came back at the end and kind of let us know everything too. Oh my God. Can we talk about, like, Boris and Valery? Like, I was just screaming for Boris this whole ep. And honestly, I did not think he was going to live as long as he ended up living. I really hope and pray he did not suffer during those, like, 3 more years that he lived after we saw him here, because he was already ill. The situation with Valery is heartbreaking. To think that, you know, even after that, they couldn't quite kill him at that point because that would be a little bit too direct, but they basically took away his life, and that he had to, it's just such a, because, like, oh God, like, you don't ever want, like, suicide is never, ever a solution, but to think that that was what put, like, it could not be ignored any longer. after that, and the tapes were, you know, it couldn't be denied, and they did have to make the amendments to the other reactors and everything. Just heartbreaking. Like, the whole thing is just heartbreaking. And then at the end, we learn about... So they never said what happened to, like, the soldier that we saw. Oh, what was his name? I can't remember his name. But the young soldier who had to go shoot the dogs. They didn't say what happened to him, but they did say what happened to the firefighter's wife. I'm sure she had some awful health, like the fact that she had strokes and everything. I would have been really surprised had she not, like, had severe damage to her health, which is absolutely awful. And they just dropped me off the cliff of sadness, telling me she couldn't bear children, only to pull me back at the last second and tell me the doctors were wrong. She had a son. Wow. That was just very, even just reading the text was very emotional, which goes to show what a good job they did, you know, getting us, the audience, invested in what was going on with the characters throughout the series. So, all right, so I've already said what I thought about, like, the characters, about the show as a whole. I will say just a little bit more about, like, the characters, our main characters, Valery and Boris. And I now know that the female scientist was meant to be a kind of a combination of many, many different people. But, you know, it's crazy to think that, in a way, like, some of the stuff we learned about Valery at the end, some of the things he had done for the sake of his party and everything, it's crazy to think that such a horrible experience almost kind of served as a kind of a redemption for him, you know? But just to think that it would have happened that way, such a terrible end to his life in so many ways, is just heartbreaking. But he was incredibly interesting to follow, and I loved his arc, and I loved Boris's arc. I love that they showed that, like, you know, there were people even within the party that were good people and wanted the truth, you know? It was kind of this, like they said in that end piece, they're like a failure of the system as a whole, but there were bad individuals. Like, there were individuals who just, like, for whatever reason were just, like, that one guy, the boss, was just unnecessarily evil. And then there were people who, you know, were, like, party people, but they were good people who did not want bad things to happen and everything. It's a very, very interesting. I think if I took away anything from this, it's that nothing is black and white. There's always, like, layers to things. There's always, you know, and they made a really good point about the truth, that the truth doesn't care about those things. It does not care about your affiliations. It does not care about your, it does, you know, the truth is the truth. And, wow, just also, I'm never going to complain about anything in my life ever again. After seeing the series and seeing what the people went through, I'm just never going to complain about anything. Ever. Ever. It has made me eternally grateful. Because, you know, just to see what people went through, you know, emotionally, morally, physically, just wow. Just wow. So yeah, so I love the character arcs on the show. The last episode is so great because after trying to, you know, piece together as an audience the timeline of events, the chain of events here, we kind of have a broad idea of what happened. And even in the prior episode when we find out, you know, okay, well, there was vital information missing. There was negligence, but there was also information missing. we still only kind of have a broad picture, and this one just like lays it all out. We get to see that entire day and everything that happened, and it's like finally we know the truth, which I think was kind of a big point of the series, was like finding the truth. So just phenomenal. Rewatchability for the very obvious heavy tone reasons. You know, I totally get that. It's not always an easy show to watch, but it's impossible to stop watching, is how I would put it. I think it was phenomenally well done, very interesting to follow, very emotional. To think that they did that all and told that story over 5 episodes is really, really impressive. I think they did a great job with it. I'm glad that they're bringing awareness of, you know, some of the individuals who suffered, because, you know, before this, I just looked at that and I knew that was like, I knew what had happened on like a broad spectrum, and I knew there must have been a lot of death and a lot of terrible, but like to see, I know that firefighter's wife is a real person, and I know like her story now, and I think it's great that they did a lot to bring awareness to Valery, you know, to Boris, to the people that we can kind of assign a more personal nature to it now that we know some of these people a little bit through this series. So I think that was great. Wow, guys, amazing recommendation. I know I ripped you guys a little bit a few episodes ago and was like, let's watch a fun one next time. What do you say? But seriously, you guys never cease to amaze me with your recommendations. I loved it. I loved the series. Thank you so much for recommending it. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for helping me get through it. Can you believe Sad Unicorn is empty right now? I messed up big time because I didn't think I was going to cry during this one, and that, like, I don't know what I was thinking. But yeah, let's, you know, I'm sure I'll have more to say once I digest it, but we'll get there. We'll deal with that in the comments. But thank you guys so much for joining me. It was amazing. It was great. I will not forget it. So thank you for joining me. I hope you join me for other reactions. I have lots of other ones coming, live action, tokusatsu, anime, obviously. So please join me for that, and thank you again. And join me next time so that we can watch it together. Bye for now, guys.